Hi, this is Ken Gidge, and this is Gidge World, and welcome to Gidge World. And of course, as you know, it is political season around Nashua, and all the aldermen are up for election. And we have one alderman today, June Caron, and she's running for Ward 7 alderman, and that's where Mr. Flynn, who was there, died.
Right.
Right. So, June Caron, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Ken. I'm surprised, but thank you.
They don't know how really surprised
we're going to be, right, yes.
So did you know Mr. Flynn at all?
Yes, matter of fact, Mr. Flynn and I went to school together. We graduated in the class of 65 at Nashua High School, long time ago. Yes.
And as you know, our former Mayor Bernie Streeter, who did the first show here, we did the first inside studio produced show, and he was the first guest.
I know, I saw it.
Yes.
Yes.
And as you know, he's not feeling well.
No, he isn't. Matter of fact, I was very surprised when he called me to tell me that he was going to drop out of the race because of his health, and it was more important for him to take care of his health than try to take care of the city's business. And I thanked him very much for taking the time to call me, because obviously he didn't have to. So now, instead of 2 opponents, I have 1.
Yes, and I'm really sorry Bernie did fall out. I did talk to him, and he's feeling okay, and we're going to keep updates because you know him well, I know him well. Ward 7, you've been there how long?
For over 50 years. Yes, grew up there.
Really,
in Crown
right?
Hill, on Crown Hill area, and my mom still lives there.
Really?
Yes, she does. And then we moved maybe a mile away to Montgomery Ave, which is near Revere College, and that's where my husband and I have lived for the last 32 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Can you tell us the boundaries of Ward 7?
But yeah, it's a little strange boundaries, but we go from like the bridge to go into Hudson, all the way down to Temple Street, parts of Temple Street, because then it switches into Ward 4.
Right.
And then all of Crown Hill, and to South Main Street, and down, probably down to almost Veterans Drive, and then it switches into Ward 8.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's an odd.
Yeah, I really, for a while there, half of South Main Street was in Ward 7 and half was in Ward 8, and then they put them all back together again, so.
As you know, there's redistricting, and that's going to be fun.
Yes, I think that Ward 7's going to have a little bit of a change, but nothing too drastic.
Added or
No, I think subtracted.
Subtracting
yeah,
from Ward 6?
Subtracted, because it is a big
Yep. I'm
ward.
from Ward 6, and Ward 6 is being added about probably 19 more homes.
Yes, yes. I mean, trying to make it fair, as far as the areas.
Well,
in the city.
you're a local gal. I mean, you've been here your whole life. What have you been doing in the city?
Well,
anything of...
Well, I've been retired for 5 years, but I worked for the city since I was 16, and worked for Park Rec for over 41 years. And when I retired, I was the superintendent of recreation, and I started at the bottom and worked my way up, and loved every minute of it. Saw a lot of changes within the city, which is, some was good, some was bad, but overall we have a wonderful place to live and raise a family.
Well, they must like you because they named a park after you. Now, wait, we've got to talk about the park they did want to name after you. And you wouldn't, and all right, okay,
Which park are we talking about? Are you
was
talking
the
about
dog
the dog park? Yes,
You know,
Karen's Canine Park, yes.
When you told me that, we did laugh about it, but after a while, when you think about it, it's probably the best park to have a name. I mean, there's the creatures don't have much around the city.
No, they don't, and I have to say that before I left, the group was working really hard for a park. I know that myself and the superintendent of parks, Nick Cargiano, and we walked several parcels of land trying to find sites for the dog park. We even took a trip to Maine to look at some sites.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, and Derry, New Hampshire has a dog park, which I was surprised, a small town of Jerry had a dog park. And I'm glad to see that they're moving forward and they're building something.
Yes, yes.
So not one, but two.
I believe Mr. Sabowski is also
Yes,
involved with
wonderful.
that.
Yes, I've known Bill for a long time and
Used
very
to play
active.
basketball with him at the Y,
and
the old Y.
Yes,
the
and
old Y.
softball, and he coached softball and basketball when his 3 daughters were growing up. So, you see all that. You see all that.
I know, and
So.
there are not too many of us. I was born here in the city.
Right.
I haven't gone far, although they tried to eject me several times.
Oh, really? Yes. No, there's not too many of us. When you say you've lived here all your life, they go, you have. Not that you haven't traveled, but certainly, this is home. This is home. This is home. Will always be home.
So you certainly know Ward 7. But what park? I guess the park that's named after you is in your ward?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Where?
It's on Temple Street. It used to be the Temple Street Playground. It used to have a basketball court and playground and the old little pools that you could swim in the summer. And it's next door to the new Nashua Senior Activity Center. And that was the playground that I first worked at when I was hired for the summer, my first year. Before I graduated from high school, myself and Don Casper were the playground supervisors. So when I retired, they were planning on redoing the playground because of the work that they had done at the senior center. And it was quite a surprise and quite an honor to have a park named after me.
Yes.
Yes. And even a hat in the circle of the playground. So.
Well, that's nice. It sounds almost like a tiny little story. Lady never left, became successful, did the playground thing. I mean, it's a wonderful life. But you do know Ward 7, and Ward 7 looks like it's in pretty good shape.
Oh, yes. Alderman Flynn was very active in the ward, and he took care of things that were needed and helped people when they asked for help. He tried to resolve problems that were there. And as you know, a few weeks ago, they named one of the fields at Lions Field in memory of Dick, because he was very active in Little League baseball when his children were growing up. So it was a nice tribute to him. And prior to that, Laurie Wilshire, who was the alderman for Ward 7, she was able to come up with a plan and work with the city, Park Rec, and the Public Works Department to redo all our playgrounds in Ward 7. So, they've all been updated and they're wonderful, and, so it's a close-knit community, I think, Ward 7. A lot of people have lived there a long, long time. Families have lived there a long time.
Laurie will be on with us, by the way. She's running for Alderman Lodge.
Right, re-election.
Yeah, re-election. And she will be coming in here. We're not absolutely sure when, but she will be coming in here. So you were basically educated, would you say self-educated, college?
Yeah, some college classes when I could take them. I graduated from high school and basically started working for the city. Summer job, then I went to work at, well, most people probably wouldn't even remember it, Rich's department store, which was up on where Staples is today and Ruby Tuesdays. And I set up that store, and I had a high school teacher, business teacher, come in and say, "What are you doing here? We need to find you a job." In the business world. But I was able to go back and work for the city full-time when the secretary that I worked under for the summer decided to retire, and they asked me to come back.
Well, I guess the city's luck. Do you belong to any organizations or groups?
Yeah, I belong to the Nashua Lions Club. I was a charter member of the Gate City Lions when that was started.
How long has that been?
That's been a good 10 years, yeah. I was the charter secretary for them for over 5 years. And then we merged with the big National Lions Club that's been here. I'm a member of RISE, I'm a member of the Senior Activity Center, and I volunteer for them. And I still sit on the committee for Nashua Goes Back to School, which, as the superintendent of recreation, when that first started over 8 years ago, I sat on the committee, and when I retired, they asked me to continue in. It's a project that I enjoy tremendously. It's wonderful to work with these kids, to get them the supplies they need to go to school. And the other thing is to work with the RSV people at Davidson's Landing, who help us put almost 2,000 bags together
Really?
in one day. They are hardworking men and women.
Give them credit.
Yes, so we have to say thank, and it's close to my heart, and I was a school volunteer for Dr. Chris for a year, so been keeping busy.
And political offices?
Yes, I was a state rep for Ward 7 in 2009, 2010, and that was a very interesting
Well, it was
group.
interesting also.
Yes, because you sat behind me,
Yes,
so that's helped.
I'm on my second term, and
yes,
you were
you
lucky
are.
to get out of there.
Yes.
But you sat in front of myself, and
Yes.
the changing of the hats.
Yes.
Was always, I sat right next to, oh God, Angie Kopka.
Yes.
Close to Angie.
Yes, she was in front of me. She sat in front of me. Yes.
And there was
yes.
just a little party for Angie.
Yes.
95 years old. You know, I was talking to Angie Kopka, and I think she really wants to come back.
Oh my God. Forget it, Angie. Take a vacation. She's done so much.
No.
She worked so hard for the state and everything. And it was a learning curve for me, because it wasn't something that I ever would expect to be elected to. But I think state politics is totally different than local.
Well, as you know, I did radio here in the city of Nashua for about 6-8 years. Kept getting fired, but
You keep coming
but
back.
so I thought I knew a lot about politics. And my first term up there, and they say you need to be there. Your first term, you're just learning, and it is a learning curve. But I'll tell you, I think the citizenry, especially here in Nashua, have got some really good people.
Oh, God, absolutely, really and truly. Do we need them all? I don't know, but that's for another
Well,
another
do
day.
we need 400?
Yes, right. Do we need all that? You know?
We talked about that, I think.
Yes, we did several times
Yeah.
when we were first up there. So, you wonder. Yes, and local politics is, I think, a little bit closer to what we have to, what we have to do now. Considering I worked for the city for a long time, yeah, I dealt with a lot of politicians. Some were good, some were bad, some didn't care. But I think in their heart of hearts, they thought that they were doing the right thing at the time.
I'd like to make a point, because something you just said is important. You're getting back to the locale, back home again. I'm not sure if people really realize what happens to some people when they go to Concord. They change. And I think if some of the people next time, which will be next year, when they start thinking about, do they wish to elect the same people over again, better take a look at their record. Because a lot of the politicians right here in the city of Nashua, which, sorry to say, happen to be Republican, have voted really against the city. And what's going to happen is taxes are going to go up because of that. You keep cutting up there, as you know.
Well, I think the other thing is people don't understand, how these politicians act when they go up there. I mean, the first time I was there in session and listened to some of them talk at the well, I was appalled. I couldn't imagine talking and having to sit and listen to some of the conversation they were having. The well is where, everyone can to say what their piece concerning a bill or a resolution or whatever. And I don't think that the people who voted for them knew what they were expecting when they send them up there. So yeah, you have to really look at what you're getting.
By the way, the wells up there on both sides of the speakers, where the speaker stands, and actually we've had some very famous people up there.
Yes, you have. Yes.
Standing there in the wells.
And I wasn't one of them.
No, well, oh well.
Oh, well, yes.
But well, so now you've that learning curve. How do you think that's going to help you from going to the state, coming back home? Is that going to help you in some way?
I think so. You're right. You know, your first year up in the State House, you have to sit and listen. You can't just go in and say, I can do this, I can do that. You really have to listen and learn and get some feeling and talk to people who have been up there a long time. I think the same goes in city government. If I get elected, I can't just go up there and say, well, I can do this, I can do that. You have to listen and comprehend what's going on around you. I mean, you really have to know what's happening, why this resolution is coming up or why this bill is coming forward, and really take it all in and talk to people and understand how you're going to vote or what kind of actions. But the other thing is you can't, no matter how angry you can get at someone, you can't show that emotion. You can't be screaming and hollering, and
That's right.
decorum is so important. And I guess, you know, it's because I dealt with a lot of public coaches and officials who are very high intense, but if you kept them level-headed and made them understand that you're not going to get anywhere by, you know, carrying on, nobody's going to listen, then I think, you know, we'll be okay. I think I'll be okay. You know, I have to learn to keep quiet, take notes, and then go from there. Although there was a comment made the other day from another state rep to myself when we were talking, and we were talking about local politics and state politics. And she said, you were used to going to a meeting, sitting down, hashing out whatever it was, making a decision, and walking away. Where in the state, it's committee this, goes back and forth, and so it's frustrating, you know. So she said, you know, you could see that you would get frustrated because you couldn't understand if a committee as a whole approved this bill, why it had to go to the whole group, and then everybody could stand there for hours and hours and complain about it or want to make change, or why are we doing this?
Amendments.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, you know, she said, I can understand why you'd rather do local politics rather than state.
I will just give some of the people out there an idea of how difficult it is to get a bill in. I was the co-sponsor for a teacher's protection bill.
Right.
And that went into the first committee, and we passed 100%, went out House vote, just voice, which is good. Now it's supposed to go to the Senate. They took and they put it in another committee, went through that committee, passed that committee, went to the House, passed the House, went to the Senate. The Senate, the subcommittee advised the full committee to vote it in, and then it was go to the governor. So it was something that was going to happen. Two individuals who have no idea on their first term, had no idea. They called the committee of conference. They gave the senators a hard time. The senators got up and said, nope. So they walked away from it. So actually, that's very difficult. I think people really have to understand. But it is coming back.
Yeah. Well, that's good, you know, but it's frustrating because here you are thinking it's going, the process is moving, and then it stalls. Now, obviously, we have legislation in the city, too, that it stops and it goes back to committee, or, you know, or somebody puts a cog in the wheel. But it's not as, there's only 15 people to talk about it. That's not 400 people. So I think you can get a lot more done, you know. And, you know, hopefully, you know, I'm hoping that being elected, that I'll be able to give something back to the city. I mean, this is my home, and I worked for the city all my life, all my working life, and now I'd like to give back in another way.
Well, let's ask
whether it'll be good or not, I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure you'll do great. If you can do one term without yelling and screaming up in Concord, you can.
I can do
I'm sure
anything,
you can do several
right?
terms here. Pennachuck Waterworks. What do you think?
Well, actually, I was not in favor of it.
Okay.
I really don't. I really didn't think that a city or anybody should be looking at taking over some private entity because of the fact that they wanted to sell it to someone that you don't like, a foreign entity. I don't think that's what we're about. Now, had we had the waterworks a long time ago, fine. And the other issue that really bothers me is the fact that we were supposed to be getting this to protect the land around the watershed. But let's face it, most of that land has already been sold and developed.
Yes.
So what are we getting? But it's a done deal, so
Well,
you know,
not quite done deal, but
well,
almost.
you know, I think
Yeah.
it's 99% done. So I mean, you know, whoever comes in January.
Parking downtown, the changing of that.
I think there's some good ideas for that. I think there's probably some need. Putting in such a big fee all at once, I'm not sure how that's going to.
You mean charging
Yeah,
the
the charging.
businesses?
Yeah, well, no, charging for parking meters. You know, a higher
Oh, yes.
rate. I don't know how that's going to work. We'll have to wait and see. But certainly, anything that we can do to make Nashua destination downtown our goal, I think, is a good thing.
Well, we have about 60 seconds more.
Wonderful. That went well, she
It's
said.
not over.
I know,
We have a lot
I
can happen in
know.
60 seconds.
Yes.
Anything you want to say, or?
No, I just, you know, hope that the people in Ward 7 look at what I've done, what I would like to do, and that on November 8th, they go out and vote for me. I won't be working the wards that day, helping with the ballots, because my name's on the ballot, so I certainly will be outside in front of Dr. Crisp holding up my sign.
Well,
All day.
I'll probably drop over and see you.
All right.
Well, June, Caron, thank you very much. You're running for Alderman of Ward 7. You have one opponent. She will be in here to talk with us. Probably this week. I'm not sure exactly when these are going to be running. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to just watch the channel and see the scheduling, I think you'll find everyone. So, thank you very much. This is Ken Gidge. This has been Gidge World. Welcome to it, and see you next time.